We'll be doing a mailbag in the near future here on Pittsburgh Steelers Talk, and this is your chance to get on the show. If you have questions involving anything about the Steelers, put them in the comments section using hashtag Steelers. Makes our lives easier to find them, and you do have to be subscribed. So get those questions in using hashtag Steelers in the comments section right now. Welcome into Pittsburgh Steelers Talk by Chat Sports. I am Tom Downey, here to discuss the latest on the Steelers, specifically some trade and cut candidates with the 2022 NFL Draft now in the books. See it every year. Some players, normally smaller players, end up getting cut, but we will discuss some of the potential bigger name ones who could be on the block. Before we get to my list, our question of the day. Who is your favorite Steelers player of all time? It could be recent names like Big Ben, could go way back to Terry Bradshaw, Mean Joe Green, any of the numerous Hall of Famers for the Steelers. I know producer Jeremy was nodding his head at Mean Joe Green there. Let me know in the comments who your favorite Steelers player of all time is. First up on our trade/cut candidates, because remember, you'll always try to trade someone before you end up cutting them. That is Mason Rudolph. Now, they're not going to cut Rudolph right now. He is QB3 right now for the organization, behind, in whatever order you want to put him, Mitch Trubisky or Kenny Pickett. If you keep Rudolph on your roster as your QB3, it wouldn't be the end of the world, even with the not insignificant roughly $3 million, I believe, in salary cap savings if you were to cut Mason Rudolph. But we've seen teams go with just two QBs in the past, and I think Pittsburgh could certainly be one of those organizations. And I would not be surprised if Rudolph ends up being the odd man out. In fact, I think he is the odd man out if they only carry two. Now, this would probably be more of a August-September decision than a May or June decision. But even though I know there are still some Mason Rudolph truthers out there, the clock has basically struck midnight here. It just doesn't make sense. You invest a first-round pick in Kenny Pickett, and you throw money at Mitchell Trubisky. Rudolph is pretty clearly quarterback 3 for me. Now, maybe you disagree. Maybe you think Rudolph's going to beat out Mitchell Trubisky. Well, this is your opportunity to speak your truth about Mason Rudolph. Who is the better QB right now? Better veteran QB, thank you, Jeremy, on the Steelers roster? T for Mitchell Trubisky, R for Mason Rudolph. This is the pinned comment on today's video. So if the ad break comes here on YouTube, take advantage of it. Head down there and pick one. Let's go to running back now. Benny Snell, who I know there is a very small Benny Snell hive to an extent. Some of it is trolling, but I appreciate it nonetheless. Obviously, Najee Harris is this team's number one back. He's going to get such a massive workload. Anthony McFarland's on the roster. Trey Edmonds as well. Benny Snell, I know the offensive line was bad. We'll talk about the O-line, by the way, here in a little bit. But we also have to be honest with the play of Snell. He was bad. 36 carries, 98 yards, 2.7 yards per carry. That is not average. That is not below average. That is bad. If you can't get 3 yards per carry on an NFL roster, regardless of how poor your offensive line may be, it might be a you thing more than just an O-line thing. Snell's stats have declined each and every single year. I don't hate him if he's your RB3, but there is some savings here if you choose to cut him. You could roll with McFarland, maybe Trey Edmonds, or maybe UDFA running back, Jalen Warren. So I don't believe that Benny Snell's roster spot is fully secured at this point. I do think there's a possibility that somebody makes a push for his job and the Steelers go, yeah, we'll go younger and cheaper and maybe even just trade up faster at the position. I'm going through my list right now, but we want to hear from you guys as well. So name someone who you think will end up getting cut by the Steelers. It could be in the coming days or maybe more likely as the preseason moves on and we get through those roster cut stages. Let me know in the comments someone you think gets cut. While you're down there, if you haven't already, go get yourself your Kenny Pickett Steelers jersey, both in the white and the black. Just for me, I think the black looks better than the white. They're both very classic, of course, for the Steelers, both iconic jerseys, but I just like the way the black looks better. I don't like wearing white that much in the end because I'm not very tan as a person. And yeah, ketchup stains. Great point there. Yeah, don't have to worry about that quite as much in the black jerseys. Either way, I digress. Get your Kenny Pickett jersey today at chatsports.com/Pickett. I'll make sure that URL is in both the comment section and in the description. Kendrick Green is next up here. Now, this one would be more of a trade candidate, as the Steelers brought in Mason Cole at minimum to compete and push Kendrick Green at center. At Illinois in college, Green played both left guard and center. He was whelming, I'd say, on that standpoint there in terms of his job at center. I want to keep Kevin Dotson in there at left guard. I want to keep James Daniels in there at right guard. So worst case, Green or Cole could be my swing interior offensive lineman. And that does carry value. But if you're already out on Green and or somebody steps up and makes a nice offer for Kendrick Green, yeah, I start to have some interest in that standpoint there. I do wonder if you could get some real trade value for Green. Maybe you go sign a veteran instead. So I look at the offensive line, and I would not be surprised if they roll it back with Kendrick Green again as the starter. But I would also say it's not a guarantee he wins that job. I am not out on Kendrick Green, but if you're looking at feasible trade candidates, feasible cut candidates, Green's your dark horse name there on the offense side to keep an eye on. So let's say hypothetically, a team in desperate need of offensive line help, the Dolphins, maybe, at center in particular, says we will give you a 4th-round pick for Kendrick Green. Would you do that? I don't know if I would. I think I might give him one more year, and then if it doesn't work out, I can accept less later on. But would you say yes to that trade? Kendrick Green for a 4th-round pick. T for trade or P for pass. Here's our dark horse name at the linebacker position. And I'll tell you what, I thought about putting Devin Bush on here, but that seemed a little bit too reactionary. We'll go with Buddy Johnson, the 4th-round pick in 2021. Robert Spillane, I think, is going to make this team. Marcus Allen's play kind of that safety linebacker hybrid role. Carl Joseph can play that role as well, who will list at safety in the end versus the linebacker position. You have Ulysses Gilbert, you draft Mark Robinson. This year, too many names. Somebody's got to go. Now, I did not love Buddy Johnson coming out of A&M, but it was also a 4th-round pick. This is the defensive version of Kendrick Green. I don't think the organization is already out on him from that standpoint, but you could at least consider it if a team makes a trade offer for a former high-ish round pick. I guess I'll call it most likely name on this list, Tyson Alualu. I don't hate the player. I don't, but he's 34 years old. He missed most of last year. You draft a Marvin Leal in the 3rd round. You have Isaiah Loudermilk. You have Khalil Davis, who I liked when the Bucs added him. Chris Wormley, you're hoping on Stephon Tuitt being back for you as well. I've always liked Montravis Adams. See all the names I just mentioned? 34-year-old who would, I think, in an ideal world, be your 5th or maybe 4th if Stephon Tuitt's hurt defensive lineman. That guy doesn't carry that much value anymore. So this is certainly the name to keep an eye out for, a little bit of cap savings as well. And we do know this about the NFL too. They are ageist. They are not afraid to go young and go cheap in the end. So to recap, my 5 cut or trade candidates for the Steelers. Bigger names, of course. No one cares if I say, oh, yeah, they're going to go ahead and cut, Donovan Steiner. Yeah, no one cares about that. Rico Bussey, yes. Thank you, producer Jeremy. That's your guy, I know. Mason Rudolph, Benny Snell, Kendrick Green, Buddy Johnson, and Tyson Alualu. More notable names than the backups that nobody cares about, to be honest. So be honest with me. You tell me about my list. Does anyone from this list end up getting cut by the Pittsburgh Steelers? Get your answers, your replies in for me in the comment section. Y for yes or N for no. And one last reminder, get your questions in the comment section using hashtag Steelers for our upcoming upcoming mailbag. I love to do the mailbags and answer your guys' questions, but help me make my life a little bit easier by using hashtag Steelers. Allows me to search and sort for those questions, so those are the ones that end up getting the priority. And remember, you do have to be subscribed if you want to get on the mailbag.